We're in the Queen City tonight where the Queens Royals return to Curry Arena looking to ascend back to 500 on the season in a potential revenge game against the South Carolina State Lady Bulldogs. You are watching A-Sun Basketball on ESPN+. We say hello and welcome here from Curry Arena courtside alongside the Providence Day women's basketball head coach Josh Springer. I'm Sam Goldfarb. Josh, a pair of teams that occasionally struggle with ball security. Turnovers is going to be the biggest number we look at tonight.
Sam, you hit the nail right on the head. Jen Brown has talked all week about poise through the noise. South Carolina State loves to switch defenses. It's going to be paramount for the Royals to take care of the Rock tonight.
Janiah Hinton is someone who torched the Royals a season ago, 25 points in that victory over Queens.
Star it, highlight it. We can't let Hinton go off again tonight if you're part of the Queens brass once again. You can bet she will be number one focus on the defensive end.
On the other side of things, Anna Bahetu, a career-high 19 points in the victory over Upstate on Friday night.
Bahetu's really coming into her own. You can see her confidence oozing. It started in the Longwood game a week ago, and then she went off against Upstate, helping Queens get a nice rival win.
It's time for the starting lineups presented by Atrium Health. Josh for Queens, Magda Frahiri makes her second consecutive start. Otherwise, with the re-addition of Kamaya Ward, this is their strongest lineup.
Yeah, and it starts with Frahiri right at the point of attack. Again, talking to Coach Brown, she said she sets the tone defensively. She allows everybody else to, again, kind of play their role in terms of on-line, up-the-line defense. Kamaya Ward has been an anchor in the paint for them defensively.
For South Carolina State, their lineup also presented by Atrium Health. We spotlighted Hinton. It's a four-guard lineup with McGowan as the big woman.
Yeah, and the key for South Carolina State today, can they force enough turnovers to stay in the game? They've struggled to score all season thus far, averaging around 40 points a game. They've got to get easy buckets by turning the Royals over.
Well, South Carolina State kickstarts a 7-game road trip tonight. For more on that gauntlet, let's check in with a third member of our crew, Hannah Brady.
Well, guys, tonight marks game one of a 4-game road trip for the Bulldogs, who are searching for their first win since November 8th, and they're hoping to find that offensive consistency here inside Curry Arena. And for Queens, coming off of a dominating performance against USC Upstate, are still trying to find their identity for this non-conference slate. Head coach Jen Brown posed the question to her team this week: when teams play Queens University, who are we? That's something that they are still trying to figure out with the different skill set on this team. But what the focus has been this week and being more process driven, and Coach Brown knows that Coach Eatman and the Bulldogs are not afraid to try anything, and will put the emphasis tonight on defending without fouling, space, pace, and being efficient on offense, guys.
Thanks, Hannah. Yeah, 4 games on the road and then 3 in Farmville for an MTE to begin the mid-December stretch for South Carolina State. It starts tonight at Queens here in Curry Arena. Well, the Royals in the white with the gold numbers, the visitors in the burgundy with the white numbers. The third game in as many years for Queens and South Carolina State is underway here from Curry Arena. Well, Josh, a Queens team that comes off that victory against Upstate, a game they controlled for the bulk of that second half, hoping to build on that momentum here today.
Yeah, and right now the Bulldogs starting out in a 1-3-1 zone. Expect to see a lot of junk defenses, as coaches say. One of the challenges, how do you rebound out of that zone? And Ward got the first one for Queens.
So Kamaya Ward, her third appearance since returning from injury, but was ruled out of bounds, so it will be South Carolina State's first possession of the night. The Lady Bulldogs team that is just 1-5. They dropped the last 4 games entering, as there's the spin move by McGowan. It's off the mark and corralled by Ward. Numbers here for Queens. Frahiri looks down low for Ward, who is fouled on the way up, and the game's first free throw is on the way.
I love what Queens did right there, Sam. They pushed ahead down the right sideline, and then they hit the trail up top. And the best place to feed the post is from up top. Beautiful post feed, and Ward got really deep position inside the arc right there, going to the line for 2.
Well, Kamaya Ward, the senior, transferred from Austin Peay 3 years ago. Someone who dealt with an injury early in the campaign, made her season debut couple contests ago against Winthrop on November 13th. She knocks down both to get Queens on the board here.
Sam, any offense that Ward brings is just a major, major bonus. She's a defensive force, and so if they can get her to be a legit low-post threat, that's going to open up perimeter shots for players like Bahetu.
Averaging 2 blocks a game on the young campaign. Frahiri almost popped it loose. Hinton is off the mark on the floater. And an offensive against Queens on the break.
Good news, Ward was trying to establish early post position. Bad news, she knocked over the Bulldog defender, kind of against the rules.
A charge is not allowed. Of course, you know that. Well, interestingly enough, McGowan running the point. It's a 5-guard lineup for South Carolina State today. There's Morgan, usually a 6th woman for the Lady Bulldogs. We'll put it on the deck here, and well, returns the favor on the charge. It's going back Queens' way.
That's not the first or the last time we're going to see that from Jordan Weaver this year. She has constantly led this team in great, great defensive plays, hustle plays right there. Nice job moving your feet. A lot of the misnomer is you have to be still as a defender. No, I just have to be in legal guarding position. She was in legal guarding position. Offensive player displaced with the forearm. Honestly, an easy call for the referee.
Did beat her to the spot as well. If you're just joining us, we welcome you into Curry Arena early in the first quarter between the Royals and the Lady Bulldogs, as Bahetu is off the mark on the quick trigger triple. And that was off of a Queens player in the end. Bahetu a quintet of triples last time out against Upstate.
Yeah, that's a mistake by the Bulldogs. They were just fortunate. The wind picked up in the arena. I don't know what happened, but Bahetu never shoots that way. You don't want to leave her open on the wing all night.
South Carolina State settling in this offensive possession, a team that averages the 4th least points per game in Division I. Still looking for answers without Angie Justa-Jean for the 4th consecutive game. Late in the shot clock here, they've got to put it up. Ford gets downhill, cannot get the lane to fall. Bahetu, extra. Ward in the corner. It's off the mark by Wade. Kamaya Ward pulls it in. Frahiri from deep. Won't go. Open look inside. Ford getting South Carolina State on the board.
That'll drive a coach crazy. Just no communication for Queens in defensive transition. Everybody in America can make wide open layups. Tough play for Queens.
And the Bulldogs finally breaking the seal just under 3 minutes in. Frahiri looking for the retort and connects. First triple of the game for the Royals.
I like the ball movement Queens has. Watch, every time the ball comes down the floor, they're getting at least one ball reversal, which is going to lead to a lot of open threes.
Question is, can they knock them down? That's been the age-old question for Queens the last 3 years.
You're exactly right. That bugaboo has been there, and the addition of Frahiri, the addition of Bahetu, the addition of Ward, that has been a nice influx of three-point shooting. And one, it's getting the personnel that can make it. Secondly, it's ball movement. And I think in the past there's been too much pounding of the rock. They've dribbled the air out of it. I like the ball movement I've seen from Queens over the last couple weeks.
Kamaya Ward heading to the bench. Jen Brown mentioning she still has to get her game lungs back in shape. Just her 3rd game since returning from injury. This is McGowan. Fighting through traffic. The lane is just a touch short. Now Frahiri pushing. This is Alicia Wade, who goes straight to the tin for 2.
Great athleticism, beautiful body control for the Charlotte transfer. Good finish by Wade. Excuse me, Ward.
Wade played sporadically for the 49ers off the bench. Now Bahetu on the takeaway. Launches from deep. Wade on the rebound. No whistle from the referee, and McGowan will clear glass. Just over 4 minutes into this contest between Queens and South Carolina State, splitting the previous 2 meetings these last couple years. Lumpkin. If that's on Frahiri, that's her 2nd.
I'll just say the Royals not real happy with the last couple whistles, and I'd like to say this, everybody stay in their lane. Players play, coaches coach, referees officiate. Last couple trips, Queens has tried to do some of the officiating.
Well, this is a big absence for Heery's second foul this early on.
Yeah, touch foul. I don't disagree with the call, but it's also one you could easily let go. But if you displace the offensive player, you're probably going to get the whistle.
Magda Frahiri, the freshman guard out of Portugal. Jen Brown saying she sets the tone defensively as Hinton is off the mark on the corner triple. Weaver slashing through traffic. So far, both teams trying to calibrate offensively.
Yeah, you can tell Queens wants to make this a track meet with a basketball. And over the course of 40 minutes, they feel like that's obviously going to benefit them, which I agree with.
Lumpkin picked up her dribble. Baseline to McGowan, the crafty reverse.
Beautiful cut by McGowan off the ball. Caught Weaver staring at the ball. Nice backdoor cut and finish.
Well, partner, South Carolina State starting to get a little more comfortable on the offensive end.
Yeah, I like how they're attacking the basket. They didn't finish first couple trips, but they're not settling for deep threes, and they're getting paint touches.
There's Germany Mapp into the game for the first time. Weaver on the offensive board, and she shuffled her feet in the process.
Big problem for South Carolina State right now is rebounding. Ward's gotten a couple offensive boards, so has Weaver. That's given extra possessions for the home team.
3-point lead for Queens. We'll step aside here on ESPN+.
This is how it feels to live purposefully, to live gracefully. When you have a health partner who doesn't just treat part of you, they care for all of you. That's why more people prefer Atrium Health, because unrivaled care is easier, more accessible, and more complete than ever before. Because the only way to be your best self is with your best health. That's what it means to live meaningfully, to live joyfully, to live fully.
At University Volvo on North Tryon Street, we believe in driving excellence both on the road and in education. So join us in celebrating the bright minds shaping our future. University Volvo is a proud sponsor of Queen's University of Charlotte. We are driven by excellence and committed to community. Visit us today on North Tryon Street.
Welcome to the Atlantic Sun, where heart-pounding moments are born and where champions rise above, where speed defies limits and precision finds its mark, where millions of fans nationwide cheer for excellence, determination, and fairness, where public, private, and faith-based schools compete side by side, fostering sportsmanship and unity. From the beaches to the mountains, the Atlantic Sun is the destination.
I made the better choice, and so can you.
Before a city turns to you for answers, before the stories that need telling are told, and our nation's biggest companies look to you to make their next big move. Whenever, however, you're called upon to step up, Queens will prepare you to do just that. Because here, Royals rise.
Well, back here from Curry Arena, an early advantage for Queens. They've put it together on the offensive glass, but field goal-wise, just 2 of their first 10.
Yeah, if I'm Jen Brown, I love the offensive energy. Ward crashing the glass, Weaver crashing the glass. But those 4 offensive rebounds have led to 0 points.
0 second chance points for both teams. It's made it a tight affair so far with both teams slow out of the gate offensively. Neither known for their efficiency on that end of the floor, especially in the half court. Ford lost her dribble. And here is Morgan, the top scorer without Justa Jean on the floor. Lumpkin loses it. Here's Colvin in transition and takes it herself for two.
Beautiful one-on-one defense by Queens, specifically Bahetu and then Map forced the turnover. Colvin getting the easy deuce.
Dayuna Colvin, her first points of the game, the transfer out of Butler Community College, native of Kennesaw, Georgia.
Look at Bahetu's denial defense, just not letting Hilton touch it. 2 times in a row they wanted to get hit in the ball, and Bahetu said no. The best defense is denying good offensive players even the catch.
They call a jump ball on this most recent possession, so it stays with South Carolina State. Looked like McGowan went up and down to the naked eye. 8 to shoot for South Carolina State. Lumpkin gets downhill, off on the lay-in. Weaver corrals the rebound. Bahetu drives baseline. Colvin open from deep. Weaver on the offensive glass and cleans up the wreckage.
Not a game goes by where I don't say that I'm the president of the Jordan Weaver fan club. It's because of energy and effort plays just like that. Every shot by either team she treats as a pass to her.
Jordan Weaver, one of the best rebounders in the Atlantic Sun, led the conference in that category a season ago. Another disjointed possession for South Carolina State. Manasia Ford with 7 to shoot. Lost her footing, and they call a travel in the process.
I'm not sure the referees agreed on that. One referee called the travel. The one right in front of us, let's just say, had a peculiar look on his face because I think he had a block, but it wasn't his call.
Well, Tim Eatman, the head coach of South Carolina State, seems to agree with the perplexed official.
That would be an understatement.
No bias involved, right? Bahetu from deep, picking up right where she left off on Friday night.
Again, that's a big mistake by the Bulldogs. I'm going to let Queens shoot the 3 if I'm South Carolina State. I'm not going to let Bahetu get 4, 6, 8 open looks. And thus far, the Bulldogs have not found her.
10-point advantage early on for Queens. This has started very comfortably for the Royals. Lumpkin kicks to Morgan in the short corner. In and out. Bahetu wisely slows down the brakes, and Weaver is fouled on the way up.
You know what I love about that trip? The person that started the fast break gets to finish the fast break. Weaver started it, threw ahead to Bahetu. Great patience by Bahetu. Absolutely the right call. Bulldog defender slid over late. Weaver's willing to cause a train wreck, get to the line, get 2 free throws.
Sends Jordan Weaver to the free throw line, the junior out of San Antonio, Texas. So far in the season, well, now is 9 of 12 after missing that first free throw, a rare missed opportunity at the stripe.
Well, and this is an area Queens has to grow. They're only shooting 60% from the charity stripe all year. Most coaches want that number to be 72, 75%.
She will rattle in the second. Yeah, to your point, partner, Queens is 10th of 12 ASUN teams in free throw percentage. Kamaya Ward will re-enter the fray. On the other end of things, it's a freshman, Justice Tramble, one of the new additions to South Carolina State's front court rotation in the fray. Approaching the final 2 minutes of this first quarter. Queens in control early. Allie Hardwell into the game for the first time. Morgan pulls up from 18 feet and drops it in.
Nice shot by Morgan. Again, South Carolina State is trying to get off the dribble, use the ball screen right there. Tough pull-up jumper as Ward was laid on a closeout.
It breaks the seal for South Carolina State. Ward looking to respond. Hardwell scoops it off the glass. It's been a slow start offensively for the Lady Bulldogs. Managed just 11 points in the entire first half Sunday against UNC Greensboro. They lose that on the deck. The jump ball will send it back to the Royals.
Great active hands by Colvin, forced the turnover right there, and Queens' depth is starting to take over this game. The Bulldogs dress 10. I'm curious to see how deep they'll actually go. But you can tell Queens wants to make this a frenetic pace and just deliver body blows over and over and over. And their transition game has already taken a stranglehold on this contest.
A war of attrition almost.
Amen.
There's Diana Colvin. And an offensive this time. Goes against Wade.
That's the second time in the first stanza Queens has gotten called for an offensive foul running over a set Bulldog defensive player here.
Out of curiosity, do live ball or dead ball turnovers drive you more crazy as a coach?
Yeah, that's an easy one. The dead ball turnover, at least we can set up our defense. Man, zone, trap, whatever we want to do. When you turn it over and it's live, especially across the top, all we can do is hope they miss the layup. And so obviously I don't love travels, but I love travels more than turnovers across the top.
So far, 9 combined turnovers between the two teams. Very few were live ball. Hardwell gets downhill, uncontested on the lay-in. Seattle, Washington native on the board for the first time today as we hit the minute mark of this first quarter. Colvin kicks to Mapp. Short corner jumper, it's short. Here's Morgan. She's been the go-to option offensively so far. Off the heel. Mapp pushing. The UMass transfer with her 3rd program in 5 seasons. And one of the first touches for Alyssa Lewis, the NC State transfer. About a second difference between the shot and game clock. Mapp looking to break down the defense. Long. South Carolina State can hold for the final shot. Hardwell, mid-range J, rims out, and that will do it for the first quarter. 7-point advantage for Queens, but South Carolina State starting to chisel away here at the end of the quarter. A decent one brewing here at Curry Arena. Well, back here from Curry Arena, you get your first look at Tim Eatman, his third season at the helm of this South Carolina State program. Still trying to build this Lady Bulldogs team into a MEAC competitor. He's experienced more early obstacles than I'm sure he would have hoped.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he's the right guy for the job. Why? 30-plus years coaching college basketball, stops at Louisville, Arkansas, coached the likes of Angel McCautry, WNBA star. He knows he's got a rebuilding job. His last 7 years at Rutgers with Coach Stringer up there, Hall of Famer. He's the right guy to try to turn this program around. Takes time, though.
Coached 6 future WNBA players in his 30-plus years in the college game. Hardwell, end of the shot clock. Won't go, and it is Lewis who collects the glass. In that first quarter, neither team particularly efficient. Queens just 29% from the field. South Carolina State at 31. Lewis from deep, drilling it.
That's what she does. Knockdown three-point shooter. Again, post player was late to show on the ball screen. That's a layup for Lewis.
The lead back to double digits for Queens. Hardwell loses the handle. It went off a Queens player most recently.
You can see, Sam, South Carolina State, they want to put it on the floor. Dribble, drive offense. Dribble, drive offense. Let's use our athletes. Let's get to the rim. They only shoot 18% from beyond the arc. Queens is pinching the paint with 5 defenders with feet in the paint.
You're saying, show me you can knock down a three.
Amen. Prove it over and over and over.
Quick interior touch for the freshman Tramble, who was fouled, and if that's Weaver, that gets interesting. It is Weaver, her first.
Can I just say, I need to give a shout out to Coach Jen Brown here. She's coaching with a crutch, unfortunately had an injury. I couldn't trust myself to coach with the emotions of a game while having that crutch without doing something with the crutch that I probably shouldn't on the sidelines. So I've got to give her a big shout out for her composure, not to mention those A-plus shoes. She's rocking the best kicks in the house tonight.
The shoes are quite fluorescent tonight. So what you're telling me is if you had the crutch, you'd be looking like Ron Baker, the former Georgia State man on the sideline.
It wouldn't be pretty, and that crutch may end up somewhere I didn't want it during the game.
Lewis is off the mark on that triple after knocking down the one a few moments ago. Here's Hardwell. Spinning through traffic. She's turned away by Ward. And now Wade at the controls. The Euro step earns herself a trip to the stripe.
Difference in the last 2 trips. Weaver swatted down, committed the foul. Ward stayed straight up. The offensive player shot right into her arms. That started the break for Wade. I love how Wade split 2 defenders, gets 2 at the line.
Ward, of course, one of the best shot blockers in the Atlantic Sun, would have been top 3 if qualified last year.
Another nice thing I like from a culture point of view, Wade hit the deck. You saw 4 white jerseys sprint over, scoop her up as she goes to the line. Little things matter. High fives matter. Touches matter. Communication matters. That's how you build a great culture and a great program.
Wade dropping in both free throws. You know a little something about that. You're a culture builder yourself.
We try to be. We're all growing in it each and every day.
Wade, the transfer from Charlotte. Jen Brown raved about the characters on her team, said that they've gelled quite nicely. Everyone's very supportive of one another, and they've seen it throughout the young season. Kamara Mills into the game for the first time for the Royals, as is Tamar Kopalevich, the Israeli big. Here's Michaela Lumpkin. Shot clock inside 10 again. Rounds the corner. Swatted by Wade.
Nice recovery by Wade. She was beat, but she used her length to get the block without fouling. We're down to just 6 on the shot clock. Great job by Wade here.
So inbound with just 6 to shoot. They look inside, and McGowan gets the quick bucket.
That's a backbreaker, getting back cut with under 5 on the shot clock to go.
Is that up there on your list of coaching pet peeves?
Yes, more gray hairs added every night with plays like that.
Wade on the step back. This time won't go. 8-point advantage for Queens. South Carolina State looking to knife into it. And McGowan is hand-checked on the drive.
Behetu's had 2 rough trips. She got beat on the backdoor cut on the baseline out of bounds play, and then just committed that foul in transition.
It's Behetu's first. On the subject of depth today, South Carolina State just 8 deep. Queens has already gone 10 into its bench. Here's McGowan, the top scorer for the Lady Bulldogs with 4 so far. Weaver's all over that. Wade pushing tempo, gets the lay-in and has another coming.
Such a beautiful pass by Weaver. When she starts your break, because she gets half the rebounds and does a great job with the outlet pass. Comes ahead right here to Wade. All right, and Wade gets a nice and-one right there again. Queens' transition game has been lethal. If South Carolina State could get back and get that 1-3-1 zone set, yes, they've given up a couple threes, but that's not getting them beat. Right now, their transition defense is getting them beat.
Well, Alicia Wade now with a game-high 7 points. She's right on her scoring average already, and a much-needed bounce back. She was just 9 of her last 31 entering today. Here's the floater from Lumpkin. She has the response to knife it back within single digits.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head. South Carolina State's been knifing through the lane the last few minutes. They might make the layup or miss the layup, but it's concerning to me as a Queens coach for Jen Brown here that they're getting to the rim so often.
Kopalevich on the offensive glass was nearly tied up. They will reset with Wade with 15 on the timer. Discombobulated possession for Queens. Behetu with 5 to shoot. Floater banks it home.
Great play by Behetu, making something out of nothing. And sometimes you just need better players than the other team to make those plays.
Morgan slashing baseline now, and she's fouled. We've got a bit of a track meet breaking out here.
Yeah, Queens' defense has been a bit leaky the last few possessions. They're fouling too much. They're allowing too much deep penetration. I've seen a major difference from quarter 1 to quarter 2 in their ability to stop the dribble drive by South Carolina State.
We were talking pregame, and you've also spoken about the importance of South Carolina State being able to get out and run in spurts to get easy looks outside the half court.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, you can only get easy looks if you're able to get stops. And thus far, Queens has gotten more stops, obviously, than South Carolina State. I want to go back to Coach Brown's #1 point. She said it 3 times on the phone to you and I. She said they need to have less than 15 free throws. We need to defend without fouling. I don't know right now, what are we at? How many free throw attempts? Looks like 3 so far for South Carolina State. She said that number's got to be under 15 for the entire game.
She said they did a great job of that against USC Upstate. Lewis, the off-balance lay-in, doesn't drop. Manasia Ford looking to beat everyone down the floor. Queens defense resets. 10-point affair around the midway point of this second quarter. Hardwell downhill again. Can't get it to fall off glass. Now Colvin off to the races. Knapp ran out of real estate along the sideline and stepped out of bounds.
I don't love the decision making right there. Colvin drove in the paint 1-on-4, made a good decision to pitch it out, but then Mapp drove baseline really with nowhere to go.
South Carolina State continuing to hang around despite a less than ideal offensive performance so far. Here's the pump from Heaven Harper. Kopalevich on the rebound. Colvin crosses, nice looking lay.
Queens' athleticism is taking over. Too fast, too strong, too athletic.
This is Colvin's 4th point of the night. Ford shuffled her feet. Well, Diana Colvin going to work in transition.
JUCO transfer, beautiful crossover right here. No help defense by the Bulldogs. It doesn't get any easier than that.
At her best as a slasher, and showing it there. Queens flirting with their largest advantage of the night. They do turn it over there. Kopalevich and Mills not quite on the same wavelength, but overall, a positive start to the second quarter for Queens. They lead by 12 in the late stages of this second.
This is how it feels to live purposefully, to live gracefully. When you have a health partner who doesn't just treat part of you, they care for all of you. That's why more people prefer Atrium Health, because unrivaled care is easier, more accessible, and more complete than ever before. Because the only way to be your best self is with your best health. That's what it means to live meaningfully, to live joyfully, to live fully.
At University Volvo on North Tryon Street, we believe in driving excellence both on the road and in education. So join us in celebrating the bright minds shaping our future. University Volvo is a proud sponsor of Queen's University of Charlotte. We are driven by excellence and committed to community. Visit us today on North Tryon Street.
Welcome to the Atlantic Sun, where heart-pounding moments are born and where champions rise above, where speed defies limits and precision finds its mark, where millions of fans nationwide cheer for excellence, determination, and fairness, where public, private, and faith-based schools compete side by side, fostering sportsmanship and unity. From the beaches to the mountains, the Atlantic Sun is the destination.
I made the better choice, and so can you.
Before a city turns to you for answers, before the stories that need telling are told, and our nation's biggest companies look to you to make their next big move. Whenever, however, you're called upon to step up, Queens will prepare you to do just that. Because here, Royals rise.
Back here from Curry Arena, where Queens holds a 12-point lead. Hannah Brady was listening in on the Queens huddle. What do you have for us, Hannah? Well, we will check back in with Hannah when we get the chance. The Royals have started to pick up the tempo. They are outscoring South Carolina State 12-0 in fast break points.
It starts with ball pressure. You can see Queens extending on the perimeter. Beautiful job of Ward keeping her hands up, not bailing out the Bulldogs shooting the basketball. But Queens is extending their defense 8, 10, 12 feet above the three-point line. Great pressure.
And they get another stop on that possession. Just 6 of 20 shooting for South Carolina State so far. Royals not much better at 36%, but they've been more dominant on the offensive boards and in runouts as well. Here's Ward inside. Weaver hits the glass. She can't get the putback to go. And finally, South Carolina State can snatch possession back. Here's Lumpkin, and she traveled.
Diana Taurasi wouldn't even get away with that one at all, Sam, right there. Good news for Queens. Weaver gets her 7th rebound of the game on the opposite end, but unfortunately it didn't result in points.
Time to check back in with Hannah Brady. What did Jen Brown say in that huddle?
Well, guys, the mood on the Royals bench has been the lightest so far this season. Head coach Jen Brown sat down and she said, offensively, we need to be a little bit more aggressive and get in the hole more. And they broke down on Wynn, which is something that they haven't done all season, but you can really start to see the belief come back to this Royals bench, guys.
It is positive vibes so far in this first half. The Royals have led by double digits for the majority of the second quarter.
Sam, I want to pick up on something Hannah just said, just from a culture and coaching point of view. Both of these programs trying to make winning a habit. And one of the things that's hard with young players and programs that maybe haven't won as much as they'd like to is, are you expecting to win or hoping to win? And you can see the tide turning for the Royals. They're going from hoping to win previously to now, hey, we expect to win. We had a great win against USC Upstate a week ago, playing with more confidence now in another home game, trying to start a winning streak.
The theme since joining the ASUN was closing the gap. They've done that year by year. Last year, of course, just one ASUN win. Jen Brown expects her team to be far more competitive in conference play this year. Another turnover for South Carolina State, and Queens off to the races. Pass to Colvin was deflected. Falls to Anna Bahetu. Colvin slashing, dumps it down to Ward. Nice team basketball.
Beautiful basketball. I love Colvin being unselfish there. She could have taken an okay shot on her middle penetration. Instead, she got 2 feet in the paint, handed off to Ward. And way to reward Ward, because defensively, she's been lights out the last 3 possessions.
She has been an elite rim protector since rejoining the fray. Hardwell, the nice looking pull-up to stop the bleeding, though.
I'm happy for Hardwell there. She has been playing with her hair on fire. She's been getting in the paint over and over, been unlucky on a couple. She finally got one to go down.
Trims the deficit to 14. Here just inside 3 minutes to play in the second quarter. Colvin traveled, happy feet. For South Carolina State, we have mentioned the ups and downs. This is a team that only managed a trio of victories last season. Better than the 2-28 they went the season prior. But it has been hard to come by wins in Tim Eatman's tenure. A 1-5 start to this year as well as also added some frustration. This is a team historically, though, that has been competitive in the MEAC. In fact, in 1983, earned an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament. They were a 9 seed, won the play-in game against LaSalle before ultimately falling to top-seeded South Carolina. But this is a team in the 90s that was one of the dominant forces in the MEAC, and just hoping to get back there as another turnover. This time Morgan traveled. On the other side of things, Jen Brown, it's the 3rd season of Queens' Division I era. And the mission is getting to the ASUN tournament for the first time in program history. Weaver kicks to the corner. Wade again. She's in double figures.
I like the change of defense by South Carolina State, but unfortunately for them, Queens was ready for it. Good job attacking middle, set up the open triple for Wade in the corner.
Wade now with 10 points on 3 of 7 shooting. An excellent return to form. Mead on the jumper, and she drills it.
Beautiful touch by Mead. The possession before, she had a nice duck in at the front of the rim, and they missed her. Nice job showing touch from 15.
Wade again, and this time didn't quite put it on the deck in time.
Sam, going back to what I was mentioning earlier, I like the change of defenses, and Coach Jen Brown, first thing she said is, Coach Eatman, he'll try anything. He'll change defenses, things you've seen, things you haven't seen, things that have been on film, and when you struggle offensively, you're trying to generate points from your defense. So it didn't work out for them, but especially when you're trailing like this, I like the moniker, change anything. You've got to find a way to get a spark for your team to get back in the game.
It feels like danger time right now, a 15-point deficit.
It is, no doubt.
Especially with the low-scoring nature of this affair. 10 to shoot for South Carolina State. Here's Hinton. Steps back right around the three-point arc, is short this time. Now Wade pushing. Extra to Bahetu, no hesitation. Just a touch long on the wing triple.
I think right there, Colvin was open, and it took about a second too long for Wade to see her. Colvin was grinning, screaming all the way down the court, get it to me, get it to me. They got the ball reversal. We know Bahetu's got the green light the second she walks into the arena. Good look, unfortunately just didn't go down.
Transition offense for Queens has been the primary catalyst of their points. As they'll head deeper into their bench, Tiziana Weezy entering the action for the first time tonight. Argentine, a very international Queens team. Just a touch long from Lumpkin.
Beautiful crossover, but all show no go at the end of it.
It's been the unfortunate story for South Carolina State. A lot of promising possessions with open lugs. Just unable to convert as they've changed their defense again.
So right there, South Carolina State jumped into a 2-3 trap. So the top two guards of the 2-3 zone are blitzing the point guard, and then both forwards are jumping out on the wings. You've got to get the ball middle into the high post and attack from there if you're the Royals.
Seemed like they hesitated too much to get into that action on that possession. Now they find Map right around the elbow extended. Colvin, just 7 to shoot. It deflects out of play. It was off of Map in the end. So South Carolina State can hold for the final shot with the shot clock dark. Let's see if they can add a late lifeline before intermission. Here's Lumpkin, directing traffic. Inside 5, loses possession. Weezy picks it up. Wade has time to launch from half court. Good if it goes, and is just a touch long off the backboard. Well, a 15-point advantage, Josh, after 2 quarters of action. Queens really getting it done on the break.
Yeah, and it starts with their defense. Coach Jen Brown's going to go into halftime and say, hey, if we hold them to 38 points, which would be 19-19, we'll be pleased, and we know we're going to walk away with the W.
Well, that is where we leave things after 2 quarters of play. At halftime, a 15-point lead for the Queens Royals in a relatively comfortable performance so far. We'll take a quick breather when we return the halftime show here from Curry Arena. Back over the Queen City, spend less and stream more sports with a special offer from ESPN Plus. Save $20 and get an annual subscription for the price of 9 months. Stream all Queens athletic events on ESPN Plus throughout the year. Well, it also has been a very eventful summer and early fall here at Queens. Over the summer, our production control room got a bit of a facelift, made possible by a donation from the Perry family, adding 2 large windows so you can check out all of the hard work put in by the talented individuals who bring you all of our games on ESPN+. Jim Piscatelli and the entire crew doing excellent work here on the campus of Queens University of Charlotte, building a dynasty in the control room here on the campus of Queens. It's a 34-19 advantage for the Royals as we speak at halftime. And now it's time to look at our upcoming broadcast schedule. How about women's basketball back here at home on December 2nd, going on the road to play Presbyterian, and then the men's team taking on Winthrop the following day at 7 p.m. Eastern, then going to VMI on December 7th, before the women's team hosts Johnson and Wales on December 7th. Those are your next 4 Queens athletic events, the men's and women's basketball seasons in full swing here in Charlotte. Well, as things stand here today, a 15-point lead for Queens in full control at halftime. When we come back, a look back at that first half on ESPN+. Back here from Curry Arena at halftime, where it is a 15-point Queens Royals advantage over the South Carolina State Lady Bulldogs. Well, earlier this week, our Queens production crew asked student athletes what they were thankful for. Let's hear what they had to say.
I'm thankful for my friends, my family, and my teammates.
I'm Kinsey Forster. I'm a part of the women's softball team, and I'm thankful for my teammates, my family, and my friends.
I'm thankful for have a supporting family and for my health.
And I'm thankful for my family and my amazing teammates.
I'm thankful for my family, friends, coaches, teammates, and the sport that I play.
I'm from the women's basketball team, and I'm thankful for my family.
And this Thanksgiving, I'm thankful for my friends and family and my girlfriend.
I'm thankful for my family, which I'm happy to go see today and over this break.
I'm thankful for my family, the team, and God.
The things I'm most thankful for are my relationship with God, healthy family and friends and teammates.
2 things I'm thankful for is family and support.
I'm Abby Craver. I'm part of the women's softball team, and I'm thankful for my friends and my teammates and my family.
And I'm thankful for my family and my opportunity to be here. And I'm also thankful to Coach Brown for giving me this opportunity to be here.
I'm thankful for my family. Thankful to be playing baseball, and thankful to be in college and chasing my dream.
Hi, I'm Magda. I'm from the basketball team, and I'm thankful for my family.
I'm thankful for friends, family, and sports.
Thankful for the most is my family, because without them, I don't think I would be so successful in my life or be here today.
Opportunity to be able to get my school paid for free.
And this Thanksgiving, I'm thankful for my family, the people close to me, and everybody else around.
Thankful for my family and my friends and all my teammates.
And my name is Travion Reed. I'm on the men's rugby team. I play prop, which is number 1, and I'm thankful for my family.
And I'm thankful for God, thankful for my family, and thankful for my teammates.
I'm thankful for friends and family.
I'm thankful for my family, and I'm thankful for breathing.
I'm thankful for my family and the opportunity to play here.
Great to hear the thoughts on what everyone is thankful for around Queens Athletics. Josh, what are you most thankful for around Thanksgiving time?
Yeah, so much to be thankful for. A loving family, good health, and the opportunity to sit next to you, call some hoops. It's a fantastic week, Sam.
Likewise, thankful for our production crew as well as my parents at home. Shout out to my father, who's definitely watching this right now. We'll step aside here. A 15-point lead during Feast Week for the Queens Royals over the South Carolina State Lady Bulldogs. Stick with us on ESPN+.
Isn't it great talking to your dad when you get feedback like we
Back here from Curry Arena, a 15-point halftime advantage for Queens over South Carolina State as we get geared up for the start of this second half. And we welcome you back courtside here at Curry Arena. He's Josh Springer, I'm Sam Goldfarb, and Josh, the story of that first half, capitalization in transition. The turnover battle, eerily similar, but Queens plus 15 on points off turnovers.
And Wade was spearheading all of that. She had 10 points, got to the free throw line, got out in transition, knocked down a triple. A big reason Queens has a 17-2 lead there.
You mentioned Alicia Wade a second ago. She was the standout performer for Queens in the first half. 10 points and did the bulk of her damage in transition.
Yeah, absolutely here. 3 for 3 from the free throw line. Just an elite athlete. Beautiful job finishing there in traffic. Again, giving Queens a boost, getting early baskets before the Bulldog defense was set.
Alicia Wade, dynamic for the Royals, did it at all 3 levels. As the teams get geared up for the start of this second half. Josh, when you look back on the first half, we've spoken a lot about South Carolina State's struggles as you look at the first half stats. You see the pretty similar turnover battle, even the field goal percentage battle, but Queens plus 10 on the glass.
Absolutely. How do you get extra possessions? One of 2 ways, either more rebounds or less turnovers. So Queens has got 10 more possessions on the glass, thanks to Kamaya Ward, thanks to Jordan Weaver, and 3 less turnovers. We talked at the Open, Queens had struggled taking care of the ball with some games of 20-plus turnovers. Really nice job of holding it, I guess, to 9. They're on pace for 18. As you mentioned, the field goal percentage is pretty similar.
It is, 37-33. You mentioned the rebounds. The size advantage being leveraged by the Queens Royals so far through 20 minutes. Any other big numbers that jump out to you as you look at those first half stats?
Yeah, I just think it comes back to offensive rebounds again. Kamaya Ward and Jordan Weaver have been monsters on the offensive glass, and I don't even know that's as much their height as it's just their athleticism. South Carolina State has great size, but you can just see there's a different level athlete on Queens' roster versus South Carolina State's roster. They've been quicker, faster, stronger, more athletic to just about every loose ball, and it's showing up on the stat sheet everywhere.
You spotlighted Wade and Colvin in particular, the 2 of them combining for 14 points in that first half. Wade, of course, who we headlined moments ago with 10 of those. It's a Queens team hoping to complete the job and climb back to 500 before the trip to Presbyterian on Monday. They'll enjoy a 6-day break with time off for Thanksgiving. Meanwhile, it's 7 games away from home, a 4-game road trip, and then the MTE from December 7th through December 11th for the visiting South Carolina State Lady Bulldogs. They are hoping to avoid dropping to 1-6, which would be a 5th consecutive defeat if they lose here tonight.
Sam, over halftime we were talking about what are we thankful for over Thanksgiving. Coach Jen Brown really spent some time talking about turkeys, and she was talking about her defense turkeys. They have a saying in their program, let's get turkeys, and turkeys mean 3 stops in a row. So she said when you see the bench getting hyped after 2 defensive stops in a row, it's because they're charting those turkeys every time.
Well, now it's time to check in with the 3rd member of our crew, Hannah Brady, who talked to Jen Brown at halftime.
Well, guys, I had the chance to catch up with head coach Jen Brown at the half, and she said she liked how they came out to a fast start, which is exactly what she wanted. She told me that she thought that they've done an excellent job on winning the possession, and that's something that they've been emphasizing in practice. She wants to clean up being a little bit more balanced on both sides of the ball, but she said to maintain this lead, it's all about defense, 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 guys.
Well, they defended really well in that first half, held South Carolina State to just 19 points, forced 12 turnovers, Josh. Hard to get much better than that.
Now, Coach Brown would take that every half of every game for the rest of the season.
A perfectionist on the defensive end, no doubt. Here's Hardwell. She enjoyed a decent spell in that first half. Over to Jada Morgan, the go-to scorer for South Carolina State. Runs into a thicket of white shirts, and Bahetu on the glass. Well, if you're just joining us, we welcome you into Curry Arena alongside the Providence Day girls basketball head coach Josh Springer. I'm Sam Goldfarb. It's been a fun one so far. The Royals have controlled it mostly from the opening tip. Weaver inside adds the first points of the second half.
Love the unselfish ball movement by the Royals right there. Bahetu with a nice flip to Weaver in the paint for 2.
Jordan Weaver doing a little bit of everything. The one thing we haven't seen is her budding floor spacing ability. Jen Brown mentioning that she's stretching it out to the perimeter more this year as McGowan loses the grip on the way up.
Sam, you're exactly right. Last year it was an accident if Weaver made it from the perimeter. Coach Brown has talked about all the hours that Weaver's put in the offseason, and last week we saw that arsenal on display from the perimeter.
Weaver knocked down a pair of three-pointers in the season opener against Wake Forest as well. Jen Brown said, "That's intentional. I've been urging her to shoot it more." 8 to shoot here for South Carolina State. Morgan traveled, another turnover forced by Frahiri.
Queens did a nice job there of switching a ball screen and then switching a handoff. And as you said, there was a thicket of Royal defenders there and just nowhere to go.
Magda Frahiri, one of the best on-ball defenders on this Queens roster. They're glad to have her back after she battled some foul trouble in that first half.
Wardrobe malfunction for Jordan Weaver here. We'll be back momentarily.
Gotta fix all the attire.
That's right. I'm waiting for us to go to Velcro shoes so we don't have to have all these delays.
The day that happens will definitely be an interesting development on college basketball Twitter. Weaver, it is a charge drawn by Tanaya McGowan.
Tough call right there against Weaver, but I definitely think the right call. Defender set their feet right in front of her, going the other way.
That was Weaver's second. Germany Map will replace her as Queens goes a little smaller. Velcro shoes. I've never heard someone peddle that before.
I can't say I'd be in favor of it myself as a coach or a former player. Phil Knight, are you listening out at Nike? I don't think he's interested.
Definitely would require some aesthetic redesigning to make that work.
Maybe Steph Curry's next shoe. Come on, Steph. Help out the Under Armour folks. Let's get it there.
We'll see if he designs the Velcro shoe to revolutionize the shoe game like he's revolutionized basketball in general. Shot clock inside 10 for South Carolina State. This is McGowan. She's got to put this up. Driving and manages to finish before the horn.
Tough finish. Map did a nice job of using her length, staying straight up, but just a better finish.
Frahiri is fouled on the other end by McGowan.
Sam, are you noticing how fast Queens is pushing the ball? Make, the ball's down the floor in 1.5. Miss, the ball's down the floor in 1.5. They have been relentless in their transition.
You mentioned their desire to leverage that athleticism advantage. They've done it so well today. Here's Wade, the top scorer for Queens in that first half. Kicks to Map in the corner, who drills a rare triple.
Her confidence has been growing and growing. The second half of the Longwood game, the Upstate game, and now tonight, if she can consistently make from the arc and add to Bahetu's perimeter threat, Wade's perimeter threat, they're going to be hard to guard on the arc.
On the other end, Jada Morgan with the cheeky mid-range. She'll need a few more of those, though, to whittle down this deficit. Queens is now 5 of 16 from deep. Their season high of 9 makes came Friday night against USC Upstate. Bahetu drilled 5 of those. Here's Wade from the opposite corner. This is off the heel. Bahetu tracks down the rebound, though. Frahiri pumps. Now from long mid-range, she'll knock it in.
That never happens without the hustle offensive rebound by Bahetu.
Queens now plus 11 on the glass. And on the offensive boards in particular, very impactful. That was the 9th of the game for the Royals. Shot clock inside 10 again for South Carolina State. McGowan chiseling her way inside. It rims out. Wade extra. Bahetu from the corner. You bet.
Bulldogs need a timeout right here.
Royals ratcheting up the pressure. A 21-point advantage. Mead fades away, won't go. Frahiri in transition. And an excellent late intervention from Lumpkin at least salvages that.
We're about to have the Portugal connection right there for the layup. We had Bahetu, we had Frahiri on the fast break right here. But again, Queens is just running South Carolina State out of the gym right now. They had Ward for a layup in the dunker spot a possession ago, but Bahetu said, don't worry about it. 3's worth more than 2.
Basic math and pays dividends. Bahetu's open again. Ringing up. Back-to-back triples for Ana Bahetu.
So as a coach, you're thinking, can I get to the media timeout? The under 5 is the media timeout, but sometimes you just have to stop the bleeding. And that's why I said the last trip in transition, you can just see the dam breaking open. Bahetu's on fire.
An 8-0 run over the last minute and change for Queens. Hinton. This is Lumpkin inside 10 to shoot again for South Carolina State. Hinton picks up her dribble. It will stay with South Carolina State with just 3 on the timer. And that will send us to a breather. An 8-0 run for Queens, and Ana Bahetu getting going from deep.
Automatic from the arc, number 10.
The Royals lead by 24. Boom, boom, boom. Just what? A trio of back here in the Queen City, a 24-point advantage for Queens, a team known for its international flavor. And Hannah Brady has more on some parents in town to support their international talent.
Start this second half. Her mom and dad made the trip from Portugal, as well as Magda Fieri's mom. They're here in the stands. They traveled to USC Upstate as well and are here until Saturday, but they have loved getting the chance to spend time with their daughters. The two families are very close because Ana's father coached Magda growing up and said it's really exciting to see the both of them at a collegiate level playing together, and all of them will be having Thanksgiving with Jen Brown and her family, guys.
Thanks, Hannah. Yeah, a pair of players that have been extremely close since their childhoods. Jen Brown mentioning that Ana Bahetu played a big role in Magda Freiri's recruitment to Queens.
I have no doubt about that. And let's take this a step further. We need to keep all those families here for the rest of the season. Queens about to be 2-0 with the Portuguese fan club in the building.
And Mapp tacking on another 2 on the crafty lay. It is a Royals team that is now in the midst of a 10-0 run over the last 2 minutes. And Anna Bahetu playing a big role in that, mind you, a pair of threes in that span.
Sam, we knew Bahetu's an outstanding three-point shooter, but she's one of 5 Queens Royals with a triple tonight.
Queens team that has spread the wealth really well tonight. A pair of players in double figures now. Meade looking to stop the bleeding, and it is Heaven Harper who does just that. Finally, the 10-0 spurt comes to a close for Queens, but damage may have been done. They're nearly doubling up the visitors here. Another zone look for South Carolina State. Map on the fadeaway, can't get it to go. Ward crashes glass, and she's fouled.
The 10th offensive rebound right there for Queens, compared to just 2 for the Bulldogs. And again, second chance points, 6 for Queens now. Ward getting to go to the line. Nice job about hustling the Bulldogs there.
Kamaya Ward with 4 rebounds. This is a South Carolina State team that struggles to clear its own defensive glass, Josh. They've allowed double-digit offensive rebounds in all but 1 game.
Yeah, it's hard enough at this level to get 1 stop. If you're asking your team to get 2, 3, 4 stops in 1 trip, obviously the scoreboard's typically not going to go your way.
Sends Kamaya Ward back to the stripe. You mentioned more known for her defensive ability. She comes up empty-handed there on that trip to the line. And has seen extended minutes here tonight, played quite well on the defensive end. The late stages of this third quarter, Queens has run up the score in this stanza. Hinton, and she draws the contact.
I hate that possession ended that way, and here's why. I was just about to sing the praises of Matt. Her length is so impressive. She switched on 2 ball screens on the perimeter. She just got a little too handsy at the end of the play, but make no mistake about it, her defense is a real weapon on the perimeter for Queens.
She's a veteran presence for this Queens team, playing for UMass, one of the top programs in the Atlantic 10 last year, before suffering a season-ending injury around the tail end of non-conference play. So she moves to Queens and has been an integral part of this team, both in the lineup and off the bench. An open look here for Lewis. Another rebound here. And Bahetu open. Looks inside to Ward, easy lay-in.
Beautiful basketball. Ward with the offensive rebound. Great ball movement all the way around the horn. Only fitting that Ward finishes it.
Ward got the offensive rebound initially and rewarded for that. Hinton has not quite replicated last year's performance against Queens, and an eyebrow-raising foul call. Well, how about this ball movement from the Royals?
Starts with an offensive rebound. Ward showing off some point guard skills, moving the ball side, top, side. Bahetu passes on an open look to get an even better one.
The hallmark of a great player, passing up a good shot to get someone else a great shot, and Ward benefits from that.
And I love seeing this on the bench. Everybody on the bench celebrating Ward's success right there. Some players are over on the bench saying, well, why am I not in the game? When am I going to get in the game? Signs of a great team and a great culture. Everybody eats, and everybody's celebrating everybody else eating.
And how about this? At this rate, a lot of people make it in the game for Queens. Harper, nice work on the offensive glass, though, that time.
I'm not going to lie. It's easier to be a better bench player when you're up 22 at home.
Definitely not quite the challenge to support your teammates in that regard. But a quick little break here for South Carolina State. Back-to-back lay-ins, and Manasia Ford finishing off that move.
And that's been a rare sight. The Bulldogs turning a turnover into points.
And now Map travels. To your point, they did that just once in the entirety of the first half. 2 points off turnovers, compared to 17 for Queens. It's now a 19-6 advantage for the Royals in that category. Inside the final 2 minutes of this third quarter. Here's McGowan. Has been the go-to late in the shot clock, and that's why. Now Queens in transition, and Colvin is hacked.
Sam, I mentioned this earlier in the quarter. Make, miss, doesn't matter. 1.5 seconds, the ball is down. Colvin's running down the floor right there for a touchdown. Pass right over the top. Got to the free throw line. Nice lead pass by Lewis.
And credit to the Royals. Those lead passes and those outlet passes have been accurate, right on the nose. Sends Diana Colvin to the free throw line. One of 4 transfers that started the opening 4 games of the season for the Royals. She's been moved into more of a bench 6th woman role of late, but still impressive as a slasher.
Her energy, her athleticism off the bench. Every player out there says, Coach, I want to start. We get it. Everybody in America says that. I love her infusion of energy off the bench as a 6th man.
Native of Kennesaw, Georgia, who goes 1 of 2 at the line. Jada Morgan re-entering the action for South Carolina State. She has been one of their go-to options in the half court. Quick breather for McGowan. Hinton is unattended and makes them pay from deep. Lead trimmed down to just 16 now.
That was too easy. You used the word unattended, that's for sure. She was lonely over there, and I don't understand why.
A nice little run here for South Carolina State. 7-0 to be precise, but Hetu puts an end to that. A game-high 14 points for Bahetu. Final minute of the 3rd now. Bahetu on the takeaway. Doesn't have numbers. Colvin spins. Driving through traffic and rewarded with another trip to the stripe.
Colvin's athleticism has been too much. Every time she's put her head down and gone to the rim, she's gotten the Bulldogs in a compromised position and gone to the charity stripe.
How about the way she's navigated through such tight quarters in the paint?
I would give for about 5% of her athleticism. It's impressive. To say the least, Sam, I don't have the genetic lottery. She does.
Me neither, partner. That's why we have the headsets on. Sam Goldfarb and 10-time North Carolina State champion head coach Josh Springer here with you tonight. A 10-2 record in state title games, right?
Coaching messed up those other 2, Sam.
Humble. That's the mark of a great head coach. Colvin bumping the lead back up to 20. And she will convert both on this trip to the line. Well, there was a little bit of a scare from South Carolina State, but Queens has boosted the lead back north of 20. Hinton from the corner. Just rims out. Kopelevich on the rebound. Shot clock is dark for Queens. Kopelevich thought better of the triple. Lewis downhill. Throws it up off glass. Now 10 left on the clock for South Carolina State. Hardwell just keeps it in play. Gets the step on Lewis and the deuce.
I like Hardwell's game. She's aggressive and always in attack mode. Great finish to the quarter for the Bulldogs.
Well, Hardwell's 6th point knifes the deficit to 19. Still a comfortable lead, though, for Queens with 10 minutes to play. We'll step aside when we return the 4th quarter on ESPN+.
This is how it feels to live purposefully, to live gracefully. When you have a health partner who doesn't just treat part of you, they care for all of you. That's why more people prefer Atrium Health, because unrivaled care is easier, more accessible, and more complete than ever before. Because the only way to be your best self is with your best health. That's what it means to live meaningfully, to live joyfully, to live fully.
At University Volvo on North Tryon Street, we believe in driving excellence both on the road and in education. So join us in celebrating the bright minds shaping our future. University Volvo is a proud sponsor of Queen's University of Charlotte. We are driven by excellence and committed to community. Visit us today on North Tryon Street.
Welcome to the Atlantic Sun, where heart-pounding moments are born and where champions rise above. Where speed defies limits and precision finds its mark. Where millions of fans nationwide cheer for excellence, determination, and fairness. Where public, private, and faith-based schools compete side by side, fostering sportsmanship and unity. From the beaches to the mountains, the Atlantic Sun is the destination.
I made the better choice, and so can you.
Before a city turns to you for answers, before the stories that need telling are told, and our nation's biggest companies look to you to make their next big move. Whenever, however, you're called upon to step up, Queens will prepare you to do just that. Because here, Royals rise.
With a 19-point lead with just 10 minutes left on the clock, looking to climb back to 500, and they stretched it out in the third. A big reason why Anna Bahetu, who had 9 of her 14 points, now 11 of her last 21 from 3 over the last 3 games.
She has a beautiful stroke, she has a quick release, and most importantly, her teammates are looking for her. They're looking for her, and obviously when you get 3 for it, it's the best shot in the gym. A Bahetu 3 for Queens Royals.
Got off to a slightly slower start, but in the third quarter drilled a trio of triples and now has a game-high 14 points tonight. South Carolina State gets us underway to begin the fourth. Hinton, the mid-range pull-up doesn't go, and Wade on the rebound. And she'll lose it that time. Popped from behind. Morgan coast to coast for 2.
Nice finish by Morgan. That's the second time this half South Carolina State's gotten out for an uncontested layup.
And doing better at converting those turnovers into points on the other end. Generating more live ball takeaways as well. Freire tried to use glass, was long on it. There's Morgan again. Short corner look for the freshman. Tremble off the mark. Well, here is Bahetu. Entered today a 40% three-point shooter. You'd figure she's flirting with 50% after today. 4 of 8 from deep on the night. Looking inside for Ward, it will stay here with the Royals.
Right there we had Ward on the dive for Queens, but right behind her, Jordan Weaver was the one that was wide open because the Bulldogs rotated nicely to the strong side of the floor.
Defensively, they've changed up their looks. What have you seen here early on from them in the fourth?
Yeah, right now they're in a 2-3 zone right here, and I heard Coach Eatman talking about trying to blitz the point guard here. Again, when you're down 17, you've got to take some risks. I would expect to see that again.
And Wade is way off on that triple. Still has yet to score her first field goal, her first points even of this second half. You mentioned when you blitz the point guard, that usually will leave other players open on the perimeter.
And if I'm Coach Eatman, I'm okay with that as long as it's not number 10.
There's Morgan chiseling inside, and Bahetu corralling the rebound. Has done a little bit of everything today. Barring a Herculean spurt for South Carolina State, it looks like the Royals will climb to 500 on the year. But the starter's still in the game for both teams. Wade off balance, won't go. Tramble on the rebound. Remember, this South Carolina State team without Angie Justa-Jean for the 4th consecutive game. Their leading scorer was averaging just a touch under 15 a game. They're left without any double-figure scores because of that.
McGowan's doing a great job trying to keep them in it. She's got 10 for them, but again, right now they're hovering at 40 points, which is their season average. So their scoring average is going to go up after today, but they're also on pace to give up about 70 today.
They've had a couple moments of good late shot clock execution, but the biggest story that we've talked about, Queens has gotten out in transition more effectively, and off turnovers, South Carolina State not capitalizing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Queens has done a great job of taking care of the ball. Only 13 giveaways tonight. They've had a couple games recently where that's been in the 20s. I know Jen Brown will be thrilled with that.
We'll be hoping they can finish strong here tonight. Hardwell swatted by Ward. The long arms of Kamaya Ward once again wreaking havoc.
Yeah, she covers up a multitude of errors if they happen on the perimeter. She's so long, her timing's outstanding, and she rarely fouls. Again, something Coach Brown's been harping on all week.
Hinton, step back, blocked by Wade. And now fouls Wade in the process.
Sam, I want to give a shout out to this coaching staff. Obviously, we spent some time talking about Jen Brown. We've talked about 10 new players, but how about these 3 new assistants? Coach Patton, the player development guru. Coach Blake, Coach Brown said, the detail guru, holding everyone together. And then Coach Jiggets, the first recruit Jen Brown had at JMU, and Jen Brown said, she knows me best.
After last season's struggles at 7-22, Jen Brown altering her entire staff. The early return's quite positive as Wade goes to work on the offensive boards and nearly has a 3-point play.
The head coach gets their name in the paper, and they should. They get their name mentioned on air 86 times, and Coach Brown should. But make no mistake about it, all those folks right next to her, one of them's in charge of this scouting report tonight for South Carolina State. One of them's in charge of that player development. One of them's in charge of recruiting. And so, again, it takes so much to run an elite Division I program here like brewing at Queens.
And remember, this is just year 3 of the Division I transition for Jen Brown and company. And they're still looking to settle into their new conference, but when you look at the talent on this new look squad for the Royals, a team that only returned 2 starters and 3 rotation players from a season ago, it is gelling quite quickly, and they are producing dominant victories over teams they should beat on paper.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And momentum is building quickly here. Again, this looks like to be their 2nd win in a row and a chance for a real sustained winning streak here November into December for the Royals.
We'll go to Presbyterian, a team that has struggled, the only team that South Carolina State's beaten this season. There's the long-range look from McGowan, splash from deep.
McGowan still trying to get to that 25-point marker from a year ago.
Wade splits the double. Ward, she missed but was fouled by Tramble.
I'm just so impressed with the pace that Queens is playing with. Up 20, 2-point game, doesn't matter. Make doesn't matter. Miss doesn't matter. Starting 5, second 5. You can tell this is how they are drilled day after day after day in practice to push the pace. Create chaos on the defensive transition end for the visitors. It's led to a lot of great open looks and foul opportunities from the free throw line.
And when we talked to Jen Brown yesterday on the phone, she mentioned trying to find an identity. She used, what will opposing coaches think when they hear the name Queens Royals?
Well, if I'm coaching against Queens this week, the first thing I'm saying is we better get back in transition or it's going to be a layup festival or an open 3-point festival for the Royals. So what does that mean? Do you send 2 back when you shoot the ball? Do you send 3 back? Some teams even send all 5 back against elite transition teams.
And well, when you look at the early stages of this season, transition seems to be a fundamental part of their offense. It has been the last 3 years as well, so not much changing despite the personnel changing in mass.
A lot of coaches say we would love to run, we would love to run. Well, you have to have the athletes to be able to run, and I think there is no doubt this is the most athletic team Coach Brown has had in the last 3-4 years.
And she mentioned she's very pleased with the caliber of athlete, the caliber of returners as well. It's a young team, it's a new look team, but it's one that is quite exciting. Saw Justice Tramble go to the line and knock down 1 of 2, the freshman out of Detroit, Michigan. In addition to this South Carolina State front court rotation. It was a foul in the backcourt against Lumpkin. Lead still stays at 17 for the Royals. If there's going to be a Lady Bulldogs run, it has to come now. Freyerhi trapped in the corner. And now open in the corner. Long from deep. Wade on the offensive glass. Ward the push shot from 15. Now Weaver, and she is finally hacked at the third time of asking.
Looks like she took it right off of Tremble's back there on the backboard. Got her balance going to the free throw line for 2. You know, South Carolina State right now, obviously they're in chaos mode, they're in run and jump mode, they're in trap mode, which is fine, but one of the hard things is it's very difficult to block out of that. So Queens missed the corner 3. There was no purple jersey on the backside to box out, and Wade just dove right in to get an easy offensive rebound.
And that's on top of them playing a zone, which is inherently hard to rebound out of in the first place.
Amen.
Weaver left both at the stripe, though, so empty-handed on that trip. Here's McGowan, the top scorer for the Lady Bulldogs tonight. Tramble spins on Ward. Did everything right but the finish. Now denies the entry pass. She was fouled before she stepped on the end line.
Yeah, 2 mistakes right there by Weaver. A nice post entry, and a lot of times post players want to score the ball before they catch it. You have to go meet the pass. She didn't meet the pass, and the Bulldog defender made a great aggressive play, and then she compounded it by committing a foul.
Not her best stretch in a game where she has had her moments offensively. 7 points and 8 rebounds. Big part of this offensive glass barrage from the Royals tonight. Inside 5 minutes to go. Lumpkin stood up in traffic, and Tramble traveled.
He's playing a little hopscotch right there.
The lead still stays at 17 for the Royals. They are under 5 minutes away from moving back to 500 here in the Queen City.
Welcome back inside Curry Arena, where the Royals are up 61-44 over the South Carolina State Bulldogs. And head coach Jen Brown calls herself the queen of corniness and pop-up quizzes with adding 10 new players to the roster. They spent a lot of the offseason doing basketball one-on-ones and pop quizzes to get to know the team better. Right now she has Kamaya Ward putting the whole team in order based on birthdays, but they ask each other random questions, just continuing to build that team chemistry as the season continues. And in the spirit of the holidays, they're having a team lunch to celebrate Thanksgiving so that they can be with their families that evening, get some rest. And they're also writing handwritten notes to individuals who have made an impact in their lives, guys.
Thanks, Hannah. Yeah, festive time, and good to see Queens indulging in the holiday cheer. We wish you a happy Thanksgiving for those listening at home as well. And also, Josh, we were talking to Coach this week. She mentioned handwritten notes to people they're thankful for. Very old school.
I love it. I love it. Think about the last thing you got in the mail. We get 100 text messages a day, 100 emails a day, but I don't care if you're 10, 20, or 50. When that package arrives in the mail or when that letter arrives in the mail, it has extra meaning, and it doesn't always have to be from grandma. I love that Coach Brown is passionate about turning these young ladies into amazing, amazing people. Not that they aren't already, but helping them remember it's more than just about right-hand layups and zone defenses.
It's more than basketball, and around the holiday season, it's important for all of us to remember that. Moments ago, Lumpkin hit a three. It's now a 14-point game, but Queens will head to the free throw line. It's Kamaya Ward who gets another look at the stripe. Odd statistical oddity. Jordan Weaver in the game, 7 points. She scored double figures in all of the first 5 games. Her 37th career double-figure scoring game against Upstate on Friday. So the streak could end at 5 consecutive double-figure games to open the season if she does not manage to score 3 more in these final 4 minutes.
Obviously, Weaver would love to hit double digits. On the plus side, Behetu 14, Wade 12, Ward 8 with a chance to get to double figures here. And so there's extreme balance for the Royals tonight.
And it's in line with their performance against Upstate. They put 4 in double figures on Friday night. On the other end of things, South Carolina State, it's been a quick turnaround. We mentioned playing Sunday and the loss against UNC Greensboro. They managed just 35 points in that game, so a better showing. They're above their season average, but still not what Tim Eatman would have been hoping for entering tonight.
Yeah, they've been competitive, but Jen Brown said before the game, we want to hold South Carolina State under 15 free throws. Well, thus far they have 10. She said we want to be in the mid-teens for turnovers. Thus far, only 14 turnovers for Queens, and she said we need to dominate the glass. Queens is plus 15 rebounding. So if I'm Jen Brown, it's check, 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 and that's why they're plus 15 on the scoreboard.
And oddly enough, the plus 15 rebounding, it's 15 offensive rebounds for the Royals, those literally making the difference. Knapp off to the races after Queens breaks the press, and a routine 2 on the break. Tim Eatman calls timeout. He's less than thrilled with their transition defense there. We will take one with him. A 17-point Royals lead as they look to move back to 500. Welcome back to the Queen City. You get your look at tonight's stats. Relatively one-sided for Queens with the exception of field goal percentage.
Yeah, plus 14. Queens dominating the glass. Again, when you get that many extra possessions, the scoreboard's almost always going to go your way.
You did mention there is a paint points advantage for South Carolina State, and it is important to find silver linings when you can, especially in a bit of a dry patch.
Yeah, a couple things I like for the Bulldogs tonight. McGowan, 13.6 rebounds. All right, you talked about 26 to 22 advantage in the paint and only 17 turnovers against Queens. They've almost matched them in the turnover department.
17-point advantage for the Royals, though, dominating on the offensive glass. Hardwell, nice looking pull-up. She's been impressive tonight.
Well, Hardwell just got fussed at in the last timeout, and so she said, I better do something quick if I want to stay on the floor.
Stay on the floor she did, and rewarding Tim Eatman's fave. Here's Weaver, pulls up from 15 feet. Kopalevich on the offensive glass loses it. Here's Hardwell again. This time kicks to Hinton from deep. Needed a little more on that. Colvin can't quite latch onto that outlet pass. Well, here's McGowan, the leading scorer for South Carolina State with 13. Hardwell with 8. Gets downhill and finishes over Wade. And is grabbing the back of her leg after the fact.
Yeah, something we never want to see. We want everybody to walk out of here healthy. I'm impressed with the competitive spirit by the Bulldogs. They're not done yet. They've cut this down to 13 with 2 and change to go. And it can be so easy to have a here we go again mentality. When you lose again, lose again. Outstanding pull-up jumper right there by number 10, Hartwell. And again, they're one basket away from making this thing a 10-point game.
Yeah, and Queens just turned it over moments ago. Kopalevich lost her grip on it. So with a little over 2 minutes to play, there is some cause for intrigue here. Not done just yet. We saw yesterday in the Maui Invitational, UConn comes back from 13 down with around this much time left. Of course, they fell in overtime, but stranger things have happened in college hoops.
So you're saying there's a chance, Sam?
There may be if South Carolina State can continue to improve its better second half efficiency. Look at the numbers, 46.4% in this second half.
Do we know what the recess break was for?
There was no timeout on the floor. Clearly the refs were conferencing about something.
Post-game meals, you think?
Figuring out what they want for Thanksgiving? We had this debate. Neither of us are big cranberry sauce guys, right?
No, but I'll put away all the mashed potatoes you put on the table.
I'm the same way with stuffing, but it can't have too much rosemary. Here's Morgan, and she takes the contact. So she can cut this down to as little as 11 with 2 minutes to go. She's walking gingerly after the fact. Jada Morgan, the team's top available scorer entering today with Angie Justagine not available. I think Jen Brown realizes that this has gotten a little closer than she'd like, so Anava Hetu back in the game. Jada Morgan, the sophomore out of Macon, Georgia. Efficiency has been up and down this season. Entered today just 2 of her previous 21. But here tonight, 3 of 8. And she's trimmed this to an 11-point game with 2 minutes to play.
Bulldogs transitioning to some full court man-to-man pressure now. Number 4, McCowan, long and lanky on the basketball.
Queens has a press break to worry about. And Weaver, well, nearly did that with aplomb, but Ford got her hand on that. We nearly had to make a play over here.
I was counting on you to scoop that up, Sam.
Would have been bold to count on me for that. Wade is trapped, loses her footing, and Jen Brown takes a timeout, sensing the discomfort.
I had a conversation with one of my players the other day in that exact same moment. I said, I can't save you with the timeout every time you get trapped. However, I can save you once a game, and that's what Jen Brown just chose to do right there.
She's done a good job preserving her timeouts tonight. That's her first called timeout of the evening.
And often, again, from a coaching point of view, I typically like to use one in the first half. I want to have 4 all the way down the stretch. Every coach is a little bit different, but again, you want to have probably 3 of those for the last 2 minutes of the game for all of these time and score dead ball situations.
Especially now with this game getting a little closer than I'm sure Jen Brown would have liked. How about the mascot? Still out here hyping up the crowd, although a little more muted than we're used to seeing him. Meanwhile, Jen Brown's huddle likely looking to design a good offensive possession that milks the final 18 on the shot clock. Partner, we talked about execution late in quarters. Queens shooting really before the shot clock expires in these scenarios, especially when they could have held for basically the last shot. It's imperative they milk the remainder of these 18 seconds.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Obviously, Queens wants to score, but running 25, 30 seconds off the shot clock each possession here is just as good as making an open layup or a 3 here.
Absolutely. 18 seconds would run the clock down to 1:30. Kopelevich gets trapped on the inbounds pass. Finally feeds it to Alicia Wade. Gets out of trouble to Bahatu. Kopelevich dumping it down for Weaver. 2-piece and a biscuit.
Trying to go for that double-double streak, Sam. Got to knock it down from the charity stripe right here.
Gets to 9 points on this lay-in. Finishes through contact quite well.
Absolutely, outstanding job, and forgive me, I said double-double. I should have said double-digit point streak right there. Come on, knock this one down, Agent Zero.
And Weaver does crack double figures for the 6th consecutive game. You're not far off. 2 rebounds would get her a double-double tonight.
I'm just foreshadowing, that's all.
Didn't look likely at the start of the quarter, with it threatening to slip out of South Carolina State's reach. The competitiveness of the affair benefiting her stat line, it seems. McGowan looks inside, and it fizzes right off the hands of Tramble. A little too much mustard on the pass.
Couldn't have said it better myself. She threw a bullet pass to a teammate 6 feet away.
Not the dream combo. And Wade will clear the timeline. Wide open look for Germany. Map! That's the exclamation point from deep.
Sam, that's only a good shot because it went in. They were up 14 with 1:20 to go and shot the ball with 26 on the shot clock. But again, Map can say, Coach, don't worry, we got 3 more.
The 4th player in double figures for Queens now. It's Map's 2nd made triple of the night. Expanding her range, more known for her slashing ability. And now it seems academic for the Lady Bulldogs. Tramble puts it on the deck at the end of the shot clock. Wrestles it up off the backboard, and Weaver should get credit for that rebound. That would be her 9th. And the Royals, just a 6-second difference between the shot and game clock. Well, partner, much better late game execution in the final 2 minutes. Map again from deep.
Map's just trying to tell me to be quiet, and I have to. When you go 2 for 2 from 3 and put 6 more on the board, make it a 20-point win for the Royals.
And Morgan was swatted. Kamaya Ward is a bit shocked that that was called.
Not as shocked as I am at the 2 3-point attempts by the Royals the last 2 trips.
Germany Map from both corners to 13 points. And she gets a deserved ovation from the fans in attendance. Well, partner, you know what they say about the commentator jinx, right?
It is alive and well, that's all I can tell you.
Gina Morgan to the line. She does cut it inside 20. And she enters double figures for the Lady Bulldogs. So Jen Brown takes one final timeout, presumably for substitutions. And with 8 seconds to play, an 18-point advantage, it looks to be relatively comfortable in the end for the Royals.
Sam, I want to touch on this timeout for a second. I get asked from parents, fans all the time, why are you calling timeout up 18 with 8 seconds to go? And the answer is very simple. We have a lot to learn. We have a lot to learn and teach. And yes, today it's an 18-point game. Next week it might be a 1-point game in the exact same situation. And I want to take this opportunity as a coach to continue teaching and teaching and teaching. Something Jen Brown loves to do and knows she needs to continue doing with so many new faces on the roster.
Again, a team laden with roster turnover. It makes sense that they are continuing to drill lessons late in games. Wade can dribble out the clock if she so chooses. Ward instead from deep, nearly rimmed in. And out of play with just a second to go. That would have been the perfect cap on the night. Well, a rare three-point attempt from Kamaya Ward. And a foul committed late, which will send South Carolina State to the line. Well, you saw a wry smile on Jen Brown's face when that almost rimmed in.
It's not every day you give your post players the green light to shoot it from the arc, but obviously with the score being what it is, she must have given Ward that green light to go ahead for it.
Can't hurt to have a little fun late.
That's right.
Sends the leading scorer for South Carolina State, McGowan, to the line. She's now matched the game high of 14 points. And we'll go 2 of 2. While the Royals dominate from wire to wire, a 16-point victory that was often north of 20 points. They move back to 500 on the season. Meanwhile, a 5th consecutive loss for South Carolina State. Josh, your thoughts on those 40 minutes?
Queens did what they wanted to do. Built a comfortable 24-point lead, lost a bit of focus there for the first half of the fourth quarter, and then reasserted themselves for a comfortable 16-point win. All in all, 2-game winning streak. I know no one ever wants to look ahead, but I think the Royals have a great chance to string 4 or 5 in a row here.
4 in double figures for Queens tonight, led by Anna Bahetu with 14 points, Germany Mapp adding 13, and Alicia Wade with 12. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, it was 3 in double figures for South Carolina State. Tanaya McGowan leading all scorers with 15. It's a dominant victory for the Royals, which sets them up quite nicely for a trip to Presbyterian. Meanwhile, for South Carolina State, the road trip continues at University of West Georgia on Friday night. All in all, though, for Queens, a game in which they led pretty much the entirety of the way. You've got to be quite pleased with how they performed if you're Jen Brown.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about growth. It's all about growth, and we saw major growth from the Royals tonight. Cutting down turnovers, dominating the glass, and again, defending without fouling.
Well, it's time to check Brady, who has some time to speak with Anna Bahetu.
Anna, Coach Brown told me that this team was still trying to find its identity. How did you guys gel to get this one done today?
I don't know, I just feel like we are working every day really hard and just trying to get that chemistry right. So like we just have to keep working hard, and we are gonna get that chemistry, and we are gonna do a good job this season.
You led in USC Upstate with 19 points tonight, 14 points. What's working for you so far this season?
I mean, I just feel like all the coaches are just working with me, and they keep like pushing me every day, which it's like helping me on my confidence, and I'm just so grateful for them to do that for me.
Speaking of gratefulness, your parents are in the audience today. How special is this moment for them to be able to watch you play today?
It's very special because, you know, back at home it's really hard for them to watch our games because of the time change. So it's really good that they are here to support and just watch us play and get the win.
Well, congratulations and happy Thanksgiving, Anna.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Guys.
Thanks, Anna. Anna Bahetu, her 4th double-figure performance in the last 5 games, lit it up from deep in that 3rd quarter.
When she's open, it's been automatic. Again, the best look Queens has gotten. Obviously, her teammates are finding her, and she's on fire right now.
She is, and the Queens Royals win their 2nd straight to move back to 500 as Magda Freire and Anna Bahetu celebrate with their families. Well, for Hannah Brady, Josh Springer, and our entire crew, I'm Sam Goldfarb. So long from Charlotte, where Queens defeats the Lady Bulldogs of South Carolina State 73-57. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.